everyone. I've got Amber Bowmen, 22-time world firefighter champion, combat champion. Did I say that right? I think I messed it up a little.
That's okay.
A personal trainer on the Dr. Oz show. She's also a coach, a firefighter, and a mother. Thank you for joining us, Amber.
Thank you.
So how are you today? So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I mean, that's quite the introduction there, but so I live for functional movement on a daily basis.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, aside from being a firefighter and a trainer, coach and empowerment coach, I personally believe in functional fitness.
Okay.
On a daily basis as well, health and wellness.
So what is personal fitness, if you can explain that a little bit?
Personal fitness or functional fitness would just be complete, total, head-to-toe body movements that are functional for all levels. It doesn't matter if you're 2 years old or if you're 80 years young. Everybody should be moving the exact same way from just like we were when we were born and then as little kids. And as we develop throughout our years of working, sitting at desks, and being less mobile, we tend to develop some physical changes within our body that cause restriction. So the way that I believe in training and personal movement on a daily basis is to get everything firing and reacting all as one.
Cool. So how long have you been a firefighter for?
So I've been firefighting for 8 years.
What got you into what made you go into firefighting?
So prior to firefighting, I was a trainer for the Canadian military. So I trained the troops to go overseas. So that was their annual fitness testing to all of their daily workouts, right down to personal training and getting that individual, whether it was a rehab situation or a peaking situation, so extreme. So think of Olympic athlete versus an injured soldier, and everyone in between for them to show up their best version of them physically and mentally. Perfect. Which then, one of the groups I worked with was the firefighter. So I became an elite trainer working with the services and really started to get inspired and thought that the direction of my career was amazing in the military as a civilian trainer, but there was just more opportunity in firefighting, and it was always something that I strived to achieve. So started down that path and was hired, and absolutely love it, and no looking back.
Well, congratulations on that, and thank you so much for actually, doing all that work, because we do need a lot of people like yourself who are dedicated firefighters. It's a very, very tough job, and I salute you guys. I really do, because you guys put your life out there for all of us, and so thank you for doing what you do.
Well, thank you.
So now, do you have a regiment that you follow on a daily basis?
I don't follow the exact same plan every day, because that would, to me, it's just boring. What I really focus on is as I progressively get older, a lot more listening to my body than maybe I have in the past. So get up in the morning and start my day with some sort of movement, whether it's meditation or yoga or a workout right away. But stay off electronics as best I can. Start to get some movement and mobility in, and then fuel my body with proper nutrition. And always just really, if I'm sitting for long periods of time and working on business stuff, or I'm in a course or something like that, I try to get moving, whether it's even just standing up every 45 minutes. So I try not to sit in one place for no longer than 45 minutes. So whether that's setting an alarm or really just watching the clock, but I find that me personally, and a lot of my clients, is that we get stuck in these ruts of just sitting and doing the same thing, whether that's a desk job or social media nowadays, for instance, with kids, and we forget to move. So just going and adding in that sense of movement every 45 minutes at least, and those little bits of movement all add up together. So at the end of the day, your total movement is a heck of a lot more than maybe just a focused training session.
So now when you're referring to, you know, like the short little intervals of movement, is that, you know, walking around for X amount of time or doing some sort of workout? What exactly is that? Or what does that look like?
Yeah, it would be different for everybody, depending on the level they're at, and then the ability to be able to move in the areas they're in. So for the desk worker that can only be at their desk because their computer there and it's working, well, obviously that's a stand-up desk or a modified stand-up desk some people have to make. So that's their movement. For myself, that could be ground movement in terms of mobility and functional movement patterns in terms of going back to like when we were babies, right? We learned to crawl, we learned to roll over, we learn to grab and grasp things. And I think a lot of people think that we have to have these like long walks or long runs, but really we could just be in place and rolling over, crawling, getting to our hands and knees standing up. That's what I'm talking about, movement. So that's going to keep us, in my belief system, out of the old age homes versus going for a 10-kilometer run. That's great that you can do that, but we need to build strength first, and we need to build functional strength first. So as simply put as that, a majority of things we can do right in our house with just having a carpet or a little bit of open space that we're able to go back to being basically a toddler.
I like that. That's kind of cool. Stay young always, I guess. So now also you said you have nutrients. You take nutrients into your body. So is there a specific type of nutrients that you take? Do you take multivitamins? How do you get all of your nutrients that you need?
Yeah, obviously whole food diet is the best and the way to go. Nowadays with all the processed foods and all of the easy access things, the temptation is always there. So in order to fully fuel your body, and for myself, I've partnered with a company called USANA, and I'm one of the athletes as well, and then a part of the Dr. Oz show as a trainer. But I believe that a good solid pharmaceutical grade multivitamin is only going to help cover my basis for any nutrient deficiencies. And then based off of my training or the time of year, what's going on, I'll increase my micronutrients. So still eating a whole foods diet for my macronutrients, but for my micronutrients, supplementing a little bit more with the areas that might be needed for that time of year, whether that's vitamin C or vitamin D, a little bit of joint care, and then immune health through our gut. So it's not always what we eat is going to allow us to be the healthiest. It's really what we absorb. So if our gut health isn't at a level that can absorb those good nutrients, then we're really just eating expensive foods or whole foods that actually aren't being used within our body.
So if you can explain a little bit more about the macro and the micronutrients, what those are.
Yeah, so macronutrients are proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Obviously, they're what we would have whole food we would consume on a daily basis. So we need to eat in order to live and sustain a healthy life. So those are our macronutrients. Our micronutrients are everything that we get out of those macronutrients. So all of our vitamins, minerals, and anything that's going to help you sustain immunity and digestion and allow your body to function at a peak rate versus feeling like garbage all the time.
Okay, that's a pretty cool explanation. So you said that you partnered up with USANA. Why have you partnered up with USANA versus any other company out there? There's so many. There's Kirkland, there's Jameson, there's Isogenics, there's GNC, and the list goes on and on and on. Why did you choose USANA?
Well, there is a ton of companies out there, as we know, and I have used multiple of them throughout my life. You know, we all try to be the best version of ourselves with the knowledge we have, and that's totally cool. But once I started being a health geek, it's my passion. I love it. Obviously, I've been an athlete my whole life as well. There was a difference when I started to try the USANA products. And not only did I feel better and look better, and my performance was enhanced through faster recovery, better sleep, better digestion, all of those little things that, you know, turn into big things in the end. But what I noticed was obviously that the company itself holds itself to a completely different standard than majority of the other companies out there. So anything that you can buy over the counter, essentially, whether it's in the Costco's and Walmarts and the big wholesalers, some of those companies, the majority of those companies from my research is that they haven't allowed, I don't know, pharmaceutical grade for one, but the purest ingredients within those supplements. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I really aligned with me that I am super proud to say is that USANA is all third-party tested. You know, it's a hard-pressed supplement or vitamin, whatever we're taking. So once it leaves the facility in Salt Lake City in that individual bottle, it never gets reopened again until it reaches your own home. So I get drug tested in my sport, and I can't risk anything from being taken in a big bat and cut in half and added any other additives to it, which some of these other companies have been known to do. And it's all in the literature. So that's why I choose USANA. I know that it's a $1 million athlete guarantee for the products. It's never been used, but $1 million athlete guarantee. So what they're in their vitamins and supplements is 100% what's on the label. Shelf lifetime, they have made that little bit of a buffer so that you achieve 100% of what is in that bottle, but most likely you're probably getting a little bit more in those micronutrients.
Perfect. So do you have like a specific set of multivitamins that you take on a daily basis?
Yep, I just cover my bases with the Cell Essentials from USANA, the vitamin D and the Poly C. And then just like I said, depending on the training that I'm doing and the time of year, obviously I live in Canada, so in the Toronto area, so the 4 seasons does affect you physically, but it also affects you mentally. So a lot of mood change with the darkness and stuff. So vitamin D, Procosa for my joints when I'm really training super hard. And then there's a couple other ones that I'll supplement in depending on if I'm fighting a sickness or if I'm trying to boost my energy.
Okay. So what would you recommend, say, for, you know, like an average person, not like yourself, an athlete, but just an average person to take on a daily basis?
Yeah, so obviously everyone needs to figure out what works for them first. So cover your bases, always have a good multivitamin. With USANA, it's the Cell Essentials. With other companies, whatever the name is for that, but make sure it's a pharmaceutical, pure grade multivitamin. You don't want to be spending money on garbage out there that's only going to actually harm your body. So make sure the binding agents and stuff are pure. typically one of the things that I love about USANA, as well as it's vegetarian or vegan based. It's not animal byproducts. That's the binding agent, and it is they're just easy. They're pharmaceuticals, so they have to digest in your body within 20 minutes. I think ours, the USANA ones, are 16 minutes, so it fully dissolves in 16 minutes. So it's a lot easier on your body for digestive purposes rather than sitting in your body for hours, if not days. But for the average person, have your multivitamin, and then depending on what your needs are, you can bump up in the various categories. I think there's a lot of people that are, some people will take everything off the shelf and other people won't take very much, if not anything, because they're afraid that they're going to overdose. And one of the things we need to understand is that there's water-soluble vitamins versus fat-soluble vitamins. So a water-soluble vitamin we cannot overdose on, where body gets to a certain level and then it excretes everything else. So I went to Ohio State, and I'll never forget my one professor always saying that he always wanted to be at his peak levels, an average everyday professor, but he always wanted to be at his peak levels and then excrete anything else. So he always said expensive pooping. He was okay with that because he knew that his levels were at peak levels. Would you not be wanting to walk around and feeling great and be at peak levels and maybe excrete a little bit more rather than being depleted and might not affect you today or tomorrow, but in a week it's going to affect you?
Perfect. I know here in Canada, we're from Vancouver. We get a lot of rain, so vitamin D for us is huge, along with the Salcentos. I'm pretty sure in Toronto, with like the four seasons that hit you guys, vitamin D is probably one of the bigger ones as well.
But one of the cool things with vitamin D recovery and any repair that's going on in your body. However, we also need to remember the farther we are away from the equator, the lower the vitamin D, the natural light we're getting, our body can absorb. So the lower level of that. So we do need to boost it up and be conscious of our skin color, because the lighter your skin, the more vitamin D is absorbed. The darker your skin, the less vitamin D it is because of your skin pigment. So if you are of a darker color, you need to be actually supplementing a little bit more with vitamin D.
That's interesting. I never knew that. One, about the equator, and two, about our skin complexion. That's a pretty cool tip. Thank you. So now, do you have any tips as to what sort of foods to avoid if you want to get into shape and, stay in good shape?
Foods to avoid. So anything processed, anything that, like, the way I explain it to my young athletes and my clients is that the louder the package or the brighter the package probably isn't healthy for you. So we want to stick the old rule, and it's kind of changing a little bit, but the rule of thumb is to stay to the outside of the grocery store, because that's where all your meat, vegetables, if you're into milk products are, so your cleaner sources of food, your macronutrients, right? If it comes from a natural state, it's healthier for you. It's the healthiest for you. And then anything you do to modify that, whether it's adding preservatives to it and putting it in a can or putting it in a bag, the more the food gets degraded. So the fresher it is, the better. If you can leave it out on your counter in a fresh state and it goes bad within a couple of days, then those are the foods you want to be consuming, obviously in the good state, not in the bad state. But those are the foods you need to be consuming on a daily basis. If we can take a McDonald's French fry, and I'm picking on McDonald's, but on a McDonald's French fry and drop it in your car, your kids drop it in the car, and 3 days later or 3 weeks later, pick it up and you take a bite of it and it tastes the same, it's probably not good for you.
I don't know if I'd want to pick it up off the floor at that point. That's a little bit gross, but yeah, that totally makes sense. Stay on the outside. That's where all of your nutrients are. So now, being on the Dr. Oz show, how long have you been on the Dr. Oz show?
So I was a part of a contest and was declared the winner in January of this year. So I've been on the Dr. Oz show since last October.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And I mean, I'm super grateful and thankful that all the USANA associates who had voted for me voted, because it was based off of viewers voting. So I truly am blessed, and I'm so appreciative of the opportunity.
So how do you actually like being on the Dr. Oz show? How is it being a new celebrity, I guess you can call it?
Yeah, I mean, the show itself is great. He's amazing. Being on the show and just sharing my passion to the world is really a dream come true. I live, eat, sleep, breathe this lifestyle and have ever since I was a kid. And just having the opportunity to be on national television and spread my message about really just, we don't have to be perfect, but we just have to be a little bit better than we were the day before. Mm-hmm. That's it. It's simple, as long as we can handle our outside factors that might be taking us off of our, balanced lifestyle.
So what's your favorite part of being on the Dr. Oz show, other than sharing your vision?
Ooh, my favorite part. I mean, just flying around and meeting new people and just talking about their concerns and really figuring out and being challenged in various ways of making wellness. So I know it works for me. I know it works for some of my clients, but having some of these questions, or even being online and having people with maybe issues that I've never seen before, or health concerns that throw at me, and I'll go back to the drawing board and do some research and find out what might be the best approach for them, mm-hmm. the safest approach and the best approach for them, and then just really helping those individuals as well.
That's kind of cool. So what's so unique with USANA and Dr. Oz show? Is there some sort of connection, or it's just, you just felt like going on the contest?
Well, the Dr. Oz show endorses 13 companies, okay. 13 brands. And by endorsing, I say that the process to be a product, even a product or a company brand on that show is very invasive process, just even to get your foot in the door, I guess. So I'm not too sure exactly the agreement or what USANA has with the Dr. Oz show. I just do know that he's obviously a cardiac surgeon who is very knowledgeable, and he's not just partnering with any random company that really has money throwing at him or not. To my understanding is that he's choosing to be with USANA and uses the products on a daily basis, just like me and you, because the products are so world class. So the connection is that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're a celebrity on national television or you're an everyday stay-at-home parent. Everybody in between is using the exact same products that come out of the main manufacturer facility, comes in our little bottle to our own home. So yeah, on the Dr. Oz show, everyone's using it. So it doesn't matter if you're a surgeon or if you're an everyday stay-at-home parent, and everyone in between, the same products that are being manufactured from the facility, coming in a little bottle to your house, is the exact same. So for the Dr. Oz show or national television to endorse or stand behind a company, you know that it's more than we can even imagine. It's a world-grade supplement company.
Excellent. So I won't keep you much longer. So do you have 5 tips that you can share with everyone as to how they can, you know, get in shape and what they should eat?
So 5 tips that they can get in shape. So obviously getting in shape is for you personally. So your shape is going to be different than my shape. So if we're talking like that, stay active every day, get in some sort of movement, eat, you know, 3 to 10 servings of vegetables a day. Vegetables are the most dense macronutrient, filled with micronutrients that are actually going to help us sustain, be healthy and increase our longevity. Supplement every day. We never know how much food and how much we're being absorbed, but we do know supplementation, there is a certain level of grams and micrograms in there that we will be absorbing. Consume lots of water. Our bodies are made up of 75 to 80% water, let alone our brain is pretty much the mass of our brain is water. So there is definitely a lot of lack of water drinkers out there. Whether we're consuming other beverages, it's our water is depleted within our body. So that's going to help regulate our body temperature, as well as maybe shed some extra pounds if that's your goal. Or gain muscle if that's your goal as well. And then really just mentally spending 10 minutes up to hours on your mental side of life. So we focus a lot on physical stuff, but what are you doing for personal development and developing you and your belief system to allow you to live a healthy lifestyle? So, you know, negative talk and beating yourself up and not focusing on your mental game is only, you're seeing the reflection in your physical being, but really the issue, the underlying issue is your mental game. So focus on some sort of positive mental prep and work, and you will be a lot happier and a lot healthier for the longevity of your career. Career and lifestyle, sorry.
That's some excellent advice. Thank you, Amber. So we had a couple of questions from our audience. So one of them was, what is your thought on Coke versus, or pop versus diet, or the zeros and all of that stuff?
I mean, that's a whole topic in itself. Just personally stay away from pop. It's addictive. It's made to be addictive, much like the apps on your cell phone now are being created to be addictive. But if you are going to choose to have a diet, pop, and or a regular, I haven't done enough research in it to be completely honest, but so what I understand is that regular is better than the additives of the diet. So probably, you know, allow yourself that little treat for your balanced lifestyle. So go regular.
Perfect. And the other question that we had was, for people who are constantly doing a lot of shift work, you know, like for flight attendants, and you know, they don't have a set schedule, how do they get in a workout?
Yeah, shift work is tough. I was just traveling to Europe as well, and being jet lagged and having limited time. So remember, our workouts don't have to be 1 hour of a solid workout together. It's little movement patterns or little movement sessions throughout the day to all add together to be that 1 hour. Okay, 1 hour, 3 hours, or whatever that looks like for you. So any movement allows your body to be that much further ahead than no movement at all.
Okay, perfect. Do you have any exercise routines that you can show, like really quickly, that, you know, people at home can easily do, say while they're in the office, or, you know, just walking around? Some really quick tips.
Yeah, so obviously if you're sitting in a chair, you're a chair person, you're just standing up. So you can go from your seated position to a standing position. I'll just move it back so you can see me.
Okay.
So you can just go from standing to seated, standing to seated. Okay, it's gonna open up your hips, we're getting out of that low back pain because our hip flexors are so tight. We can do a reverse lunge, okay? And then a split squat, so coming down and coming up to relieve that hip flexor. So if I go from the side, same thing. So split squat, coming down and coming up. And then you can just I just grabbed some water bottles here. So just 2 little water bottles, okay? And we can go from a seated position or a standing position. We can do shoulder flies, okay, lateral. We can go out front, okay, and we can go do presses. So anything with a water bottle, 1/2 pound to 1 pound, continuous movement, okay, is going to allow our body, our heart rate, everything to elevate so that our blood gets flowing, which then obviously goes into our brain and allows us to be more productive throughout our workday.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much. It was a wonderful interview, and